I am resident of Culver for YouTube Jules Sands. I'm joined by my buddy Patrick McCray, my buddy Daniel Culver, my buddy Alan Gallant, my buddy Gordon Dymowski. And we are here to talk a Sherlock Holmes movie, Hands of a Murderer, chosen by Patrick. So, Patrick, why'd you pick this one, buddy?
Because I like it.
Good.
Because I didn't remember whether or not it existed. Charles Edward Pogue's an interesting writer. I think he wrote the Fly sequel. Maybe he wrote the Fly. And he was a writer that I saw attached to things I liked in the late 80s. And he wrote this in 1990 for television. Starred Edward Woodward. I was a big Equalizer fan. Edward Woodward is no Queen Latifah, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, he wrote
Anyway,
Psycho 3 and The Fly in 1986.
there we go.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
and
good to hear.
Dragonheart in 96.
Okay.
Yep.
I think he died.
No, not according to this. He's 75.
Who was it who died? Jeffrey Boehm who died. Because I sort of think of them as being of the same
Uh-huh.
era.
Yeah,
So
Jeff Bum,
anyway,
I think he's
yeah, Boehm passed away. But anyway, I liked it. And yesterday we were talking, and I'm not. It was the sort of thing that would come back in my memory because I only saw it once. It was on TV back when they had the made-for-TV major network television event. And I didn't know I was hallucinating. We looked it up, and there it was, and it was on Tubi. And so I said, "Let's do it."
and you can actually watch that process, people, in our previous video.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
You can see it
Uh,
unfold before your very eyes.
Pogue also wrote the Ian Richardson Sherlock Holmes film Sign of Four and the Hound of the Baskervilles.
Hmm.
And that this one apparently was supposed to be part of that originally, but Richardson
I
was not.
think.
Yeah.
I'm not certain. I know Sherlock. I don't know. He's one of the irregulars, depending on his diet. And
Mhm.
it's a guy named Davy Morell, who's sort of in and around Dark Shadow circles. He's one of the more sensible of the sort of the persistent fans, and he's a professor somewhere, and is very, very, very reliable for his curmudgeonliness. And I
Mhm.
think he's a big fan of the Ian Richardson stuff,
Yeah.
and he doesn't like much, which I trust. I mean, I
Yeah.
like a lot more than he does,
Yeah.
but I don't trust my own taste.
You trust him to be discerning?
Oh God, yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's always nice to have people like that around to steer you
it
right,
is.
even if you have guilty pleasures all oozing out the sides all over the place, which is my
Uh,
problem. I have guilty
it's well,
pleasures.
it's a prerequisite of guilty pleasure. It must ooze.
Yeah.
we've now here on this channel we have reviewed a great number of Sherlock Holmes movies. I think the one we did not was a 7% solution because it was at the time it was hard to find. I did eventually find it when this never got around to reviewing it.
Yeah.
But they do mention that in this
Mhm.
movie, which I like.
Oh,
Because
yeah, that's a Doyle thing, Conan
yeah,
Doyle
Yeah.
thing.
It is. It's
yeah,
it's a legit reference.
yeah, it is, and it's because Sherlock Holmes is an addict, um, which
Yeah.
is fun. Uh, his rival Moriarty is the main antagonist in this movie. He's been the antagonist before in other movies. Um, I liked it how they had a cobra in this movie. That was a lot of
Oh
fun.
yeah, they have a cobra and the snake charmer guy.
Yes, yes. Uh, what did you think of this, Gordon?
What did I think of the
The
movie?
movie, the movie.
I liked it. There's a lot of little sprinkled with a lot of Conan Doyle references, like Mycroft and Holmes looking out the window, and they see a guy, and they're basically dueling deductions about the guy. Um,
Mhm.
it's a very brisk film. I mean, I'm a Sherlock Holmes fan. I'm also a huge Edward Woodward fan. Love The Equalizer. Tried to
Yeah.
get into Callan, but that's a whole different kettle of fish.
They did? They tried to
What?
get Ian McKellen? Did you say they tried to get Ian McKellen?
No. Edward
Oh,
Woodward was in
Callan,
a show
Callan.
called
Yeah, the
Callan.
Edward.
My
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, yeah,
My
yeah, yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty good Sherlock Holmes movie. I thought it was very well paced. I thought everything was firing on all cylinders. I was surprised to see Anthony Andrews in a villain role because I haven't seen Anthony Andrews in much. So,
Yeah.
What would we know him from?
Brightside
Brideshead.
Revisited.
Oh, Dad. Yeah, 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 yeah. I think those boys are a little, I don't know. I just have theories.
He's also in The King's Speech. That's the most recent major movie, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, he's still active as far as anyone knows. Yeah, I remember when he was young and one of the up and comers back in the day, appearing here and there.
Yeah, he was also in Columbo Goes to the Guillotine.
Yeah, yeah, he did TV. Yeah,
Those- what?
he did a bunch of television for a while as well.
Okay. Well, I guess that wraps it up. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yep, it's been great. Okay. Good night, all.
I think Edward Woodward certainly gives maybe one of the better one-note performances of his career. I mean, there's not a lot of dimension to this Holmes, but I like the dimension that he shows.
Yes,
So
it's very Doyle-esque in terms of the reserve and the snottiness that's very reserved, but it's there. You can see it's there.
oh yeah, well, I thought of it as a fairly explosive performance. It was one of the more Professor Challenger-esque ones. I mean,
yeah.
he's really.
I would have liked to have seen him go into manic state a little bit more than he does. But when he's deducing things, but he does all right. And the disguises are fun. I like the
The
disguises.
disguises are fun.
Yep.
And I liked how much it focused on his relationship with Mycroft.
Yeah.
And the affection, between them, and just how the one thing you do if you're dealing with Sherlock Holmes is rather the thing you don't do. Just leave Mycroft alone.
Yes,
because that is a whole new. The only thing that I think would be worse is if somebody hurt Watson.
Yeah, I mean, Mycroft is his only living relative that we know about. So, it's like it was like they were.
I just imagine a killing spree. Yeah.
But this was also interesting because Mycroft is sort of, initially he's kind of a victim, and that's a different kind of feel for what Mycroft is usually described as. But he's not really a victim. He holds his own, and he lies to Moriarty about the code and all of that sort of thing. So he maintains control as much as he can. Which makes sense. That totally makes sense. That's totally in character from the classic.
So has anybody read, Gordon? I suspect you have the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Mycroft book.
Not yet.
Books?
I've heard good things about them. I just haven't had a chance to read them yet.
Yeah, Jabbar's just an interesting guy. His price for being in the movie Airplane was to get a rug. To get a Persian rug. He's a really just fascinating man.
Yeah, he is an interesting man. He's very erudite. He's very intelligent and well read. And I've seen interviewers trifle with him. It doesn't work.
Why who would waste their time on something like that?
Yeah, well, it's because he was a jock, a pro athlete, and some of the people that want, of course, they want to interview him about his career and what he thinks about basketball today and all of this sort of thing. I much prefer the interviews where he starts talking about his projects, the books he's writing, this, that, and the other thing, or the civil rights stuff that he's doing, or the stuff for the poor, or any number of things that he's been interested in particularly since his retirement. But every once in a while, he'll deign to talk to somebody, and most of them are pretty respectful. But every once in a while, some doomcoff starts asking him stupid questions, and he just doesn't have it.
What a waste of time. All right. Well, yeah, yeah. But speaking of which, this isn't. One of the other things I really liked about this, because this was pretty influential on me. Now that I sort of put the pieces together, this is a pretty influential movie on me for something I forgot completely. Uh, I like the amount of screen time that it gives to Moriarty. It may give the most screen time to Moriarty of any Holmes movie I can easily think of, although there may be others. I don't know. Is this the most Moriarty shocked?
Well, I know
It
that
is. I have to. I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed. Jared Harris's performance
Present solutions
in as Moriarty in the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock. So a lot of people scream and holler and don't like those movies. I do because I'm not a purist, but his performance is kind of pure in it. He's very much.
You want to talk about a pure Moriarty? I'll tell you pure Moriarty. Ralph Fiennes.
Yeah.
In in the Will Ferrell. Although in the middle of all of that, Ralph Fiennes is about the purest thing in the film.
Yes.
Because he's who you would hire anyway.
Right.
He and Rebecca Hall.
If you were doing a straight film,
yeah.
If you're doing a straight version, you would hire him to do that. Absolutely. Or you would hire him to do Holmes, But
then you have to hire Liam Neeson to play Moriarty. Is there like a package deal sometimes?
Yeah, it's like and they do the live version of it and have them switch roles every night.
Exactly. That'd be great.
Yeah. This film is very it's very atmospheric. I don't know where they did it, but they're great. They're claustrophobic and expansive at different times. The street scenes are totally claustrophobic. It's very theatrical, and it also is very appropriate for what they're doing at that. And then they do the location stuff out in the outer doors, and it's just this expansive stuff, and they're in the daylight, and things are still weird, but it's a different vibe altogether.
Because it is set up on Tubi to launch directly after this movie. What's up? I remember them from when I was in college. What's up with the Christopher Lee, Patrick McNee Sherlock Holmes films?
I've never seen it in its entirety, so I don't know.
I think I know what you're talking about. Let me do a quick Google search.
Because it comes right if you just let it play.
Is it Christopher Lee or Christopher Plummer?
No, it's Christopher Lee.
It is. Okay.
It's not Murdered by Decree.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Incident at Victoria Falls.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I saw the beginning of it start up because I had to leave the room after the credits.
I think they did a second one.
It's actually the sequel. The first is Sherlock Holmes and the Leading Lady.
Okay. With Patrick McNee as the leading lady.
Right.
Please.
He's all man. He's all man.
That's just too obvious.
Well, it was. It's part of the ritual. When it's too obvious, that's what he says, part of the ritual.
It is, yes, really.
Yeah, I think they were probably just in looking at it doing a rough glance at Wikipedia because Jewel, because I'm taking the role of Jewel, I'm providing the Zoom, I'm doing Jewel's doing Jewel's job,
Got the screen up, yeah.
It's supposed to be an 8-hour miniseries called The Golden Years of Sherlock Holmes and then they just did 2 TV movies.
Okay.
It's all good. I've enjoyed almost all Sherlock Holmes movies I've seen, even the ones that are obviously not particularly close to Doyle, because I just enjoy the characters as long as the characters are interesting. And
he is the pizza of protagonists.
Yeah. You can take him with different spices and different toppings, I guess.
Will generally be pretty good.
Yeah.
And I guess that's worth talking about.
Yeah.
Why is Holmes so
Popular
bulletproof
and
from an entertainment?
relatable.
Well, so bulletproof from an entertainment point of view that
Yeah. I
mean,
think
even the bad stuff.
Yeah,
I like.
I think it's because of the idea of this kind of manic genius, and it's housed in a character that can be at once incredibly serious and profound, and also be almost hilarious at times because of his, snotty nosed kind of kid attitude about certain things. And he also has a real appeal, I think, to people that are neurodivergent, because a lot of his behaviors are incredibly neurodivergent, and it also explains self-medication with the 7% solution and all this other stuff, because people with neurodivergence often have anxiety issues, they have depression issues, and they relate to things that other people can't see. They make connections that other people can't see. So in that term, it means he's interesting. He's different. He's not like other people. Yet he is human in a lot of ways. I mean, the whole deal with his loyalty to, John Watson. He doesn't treat him well all the time, but he actually, you get the sense that he loves the guy in his weird way. And this follows through most film and literary stuff that's not even written by Doyle, but it's there's a lot about it to sort of get into. It's just endlessly interesting if it's played well and you have good actors playing the role. Jeremy Brett's entirely different. Jeremy Brett is almost funereal. But he's also funny.
Yeah. Alvy Moore, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But the sometimes I think there's a character that an author almost discovers in the zeitgeist, and chips away what's around it, and they just bring out something that's brewing around in the back of people's heads, because often other authors will come in and do it better. They'll I'm not saying somebody's done that with Sherlock Holmes, but that they almost refine the idea. And one of the things I think about a lot in quiet times, with sweat beating on my upper lip, is Nigel Bruce. Because classically we're not supposed to like the version of Watson played by Nigel Bruce.
Oh my God, why not?
And yet, that is so indelible in the zeitgeist. I almost wonder if there's a strange kind of improvement on sort of the concept that people don't want to bring up. Now he's a rarity. That interpretation. We're back to the macho Watson.
Yeah, it's been more macho, more man of action in recent years, for sure. But I did Charles Marowitz's satire of Sherlock Holmes, Sherlock's Last Case.
Sherlock's Last Case, I've done it too.
And I played Watson, and I patterned it after Nigel Bruce in terms of physicality and all of that sort of thing. I mean, I wasn't big and portly like him, but I did all of that sort of thing, and I had a grand old time with it. It was wonderful. I also had to memorize my Sherlock Holmes's lines because he couldn't seem to get them all down. So that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is interesting how Watson has changed. But Holmes has changed some in some interpretations of it, but in others he's relatively just adding to the same sort of core.
What do you guys think?
What's that?
What do you guys think?
About?
The other people on the podcast. Are we it?
No, I'm here. I just
we're all here.
I was
Oh,
I was biting my tongue because I wanted to tell Jewel to go get a shovel because it was going to get really deep.
Oh, now, Gordon. You're,
I-
I know you're an intellectual slob, but you're not that bad. Now, come
Um,
on.
okay,
If you're gonna dish it out, you gotta take it.
yeah, but you know what? I should remind you, Patrick,
Oh
I
my
have a
God.
master's degree. I've written for a Sherlockian blog. I
Yeah,
hear Sherlock. I've even
yeah.
written academic papers on Sherlock
That's
Holmes.
why I was trying to get your opinion, not of me,
Well,
but of the subject matter.
I think part of why Holmes appeals is I think it's very um I think it's very simple. And I'm not anti-intellectual. I just think sometimes you need to pull it back and see things as they are. The
Yeah,
first
well,
is that
I'm very happy with who I am and how I express myself. And Jewel, are you okay with who I am and how I express myself?
Yes.
Okay. It's
Um,
if you like to say it's Jules's show. So there we go.
okay. The first is that when you look at the character of Holmes, he has a very attainable superpower. We can't be Batman because we're not rich.
right,
None of us have been shot from another planet.
right.
None of us have power rings, but he's really, really smart.
Yeah.
Um, it also helps that the character essentially, um, when Conan Doyle wrote him, he didn't see Sherlock Holmes as this great archetype. This was the stuff he was doing to earn money so that his boxing novel would make money or his historical novels would make money.
It's boxing novel. He did
Joke
a
was on
boxing novel.
him, wasn't
It's
it?
Rodney Stone. There's a
That's
boxing
great.
novel. I mean, yeah. Conan Doyle has a lot of stories, including one short story that I've been meaning to read called Lot 249, which is a mummy story. So he wrote a bunch of stuff because he was
Yeah.
hoping like his serious novels would do well. But Holmes was like if you asked him about Sherlock Holmes, he'd like, "Oh my God, please don't bring up Sherlock Holmes again."
Yeah. Because people asked him about it all the time, I'm
Hmm.
sure, because it was the most popular thing he ever did and still is.
Hmm. And the fact that he had Watson narrating, it's not about I'm the detective and I'm so wonderful, or even here's a detective and here's so wonderful. We have an entry person who helps us align us to Sherlock Holmes. And I
Mhm.
think when you consider when you consider all the pieces of Sherlock Holmes related media, this Without a Clue, the Brett series, the Rathbone films, Elementary, Sherlock, you can see that you can do pretty much anything with the character because you can um because essentially he's less it's less about um okay, having like there's a reason why no one's doing crime and punishment fan fiction.
Right.
It's because you
It's
have,
true.
I
It's
mean, the
true.
stories are pretty well written. Um, Conan, and I think you also have the Victorian atmosphere, which is like
Awesome.
no other.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So you're dealing with. I think it's so flex. I think the character is so flexible. I mean, there's even a really horrible show about Watson Night that I think is that you can check via streaming. I mean, it's basically Sherlock Holmes dies, Watson decides to set up shop in Pittsburgh and become House MD for some reason.
John Watson,
Yeah.
the crime doctor.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah, but even worse. I mean, at least John Watson, the crime doctor, makes sense. But
God, I would love to see Ben Kingsley in a John Watson, the crime doctor
Yeah.
series.
That would
but
be
no,
fun.
but no. This is literally. I saw like the first two episodes. And you know how there's a scene in every bad pilot where there's a character and they identify like what role there is, like you're the smart one, you're the conflicted one.
Sure.
They have that with that actual dialogue. Like, Patrick, you're gonna be the wacky sidekick. Ellen,
Man.
you're gonna be the smart tech guy. Um, Jewel, you're gonna be the muscle. That kind of thing. And but no, there's so much Sherlock Holmes stuff out there that I think, I mean, and luckily since it's now public domain, it's pretty much you
Yeah.
can not only do with the character, but you can do like variations and spin-offs and all that stuff.
Is obscurity the only reason why we never got any substantial Dupin spin-offs, or did we, and we just haven't heard of them?
I think part of it is relatively obscure. I know at the time LeBlanc, who wrote the Arsene, right, Dupin or Lupin?
Dupin. He's the gorilla story that
Oh, okay, okay, you're ping Poe.
Poe did, and
I
Purloin's
think
Letter.
I think part of it is obscurity, and I think part of it is that Poe was so pigeonholed as a horror writer for so
Mm.
long.
Instead
Like
of a
he's
detective
been, yeah,
novelist. Yeah.
like he's been. There's been a reevaluation of him in looking at, he didn't just write horror stories. He wrote
That's right.
mysteries. He wrote adventure. He wrote essays. He wrote criticism.
He was a
In
poet too.
Yeah,
Remember?
he wrote
Um,
poetry. In fact, one of the reasons why he got the reputation he did was that he trashed some guy, some other poet who, because Poe had like um had like money problems, ended up after he died, this guy got his literature, and he starts putting this stuff out there, and he's looking at the horror and go, hey, look, this is Poe is one weird guy. Now he was a weird guy, but it was kind of 100 some years of character assassination before people started realizing, hey, Poe has a much more varied, uh, canon. So that's why you
Some of
don't
that
see.
was due to that obituary that guy wrote,
Mhm.
who imagined himself to be a rival of Poe's, and he just basically trashed his reputation in the
Hmm.
obituary as well, called him a drunk and all sorts of other things, which contributed to the mystery of his death, because people thought, oh, he just died in a ditch somewhere. He got drunk and died, and that probably isn't true. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, interesting. But I always thought that Conan Doyle. I can imagine his frustration at not at having everything be about Sherlock Holmes in terms of popular mind. The average person was reading those stories out of the Strand magazine and what have you, or later in the compendiums, and his other novels were not getting nearly perhaps the credit they deserved, or I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. Well, that's I think too at the time, um, you had essentially in England you had coaches and trains, and the same you had in America, and you had the rise of this kind of, the Strand was basically the idea was instead of a serialized novel, Conan Doyle just said, "Hey, I'll just write a series of stories about this guy." Because people are using it to travel, just like you had the dime novels in America around this time and
was
the story papers.
was it popular to have recurring characters at that time
I
in
I
stories?
think I think Conan Doyle might have been the first one.
Okay.
I actually have a bound copy, a bound volume of a bunch of Strand. Um,
With the
period.
Sidney Paget drawings and
Yeah,
so
the whole
on.
thing. I've got 6 of his stories in one.
Okay, Gordon, I got another question for you. Klinger or Baring Gould?
Well,
Yeah, seriously, for the annotations.
hmm. Um, since I know Klinger like second and third hand, I'm going to err on him. But Baring Gould, gotta respect. I respect
Okay.
the game.
So even if, because I have the Klinger books, are the Baring Gould ones still worth picking up?
Um,
Or are they redundant?
I think there are if you're looking for a much deeper, much more classic dive into Sherlock Holmes.
Okay.
Like if you're looking at it at that original rise of the science societies in the 20s and 30s, I think it's interesting because it's one of the first real um it's the Aristotle's Poetics of Sherlockian lore. And I just pulled that reference out of my ass. So
Yeah. In other words, it's the guide to how it's done correctly, or how it
more
was
like
done structurally. Yeah.
yeah, It's more like it's good as a first it's like a first step towards full scholarship. I'll say that.
I know they were the gold standard for a long time. At least that's what I understood.
Hmm.
And they look great. They've got big green kind, yeah.
Well, you know, Klinger was the guy who actually filed the suit that led to Sherlock Holmes being declared public domain.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
How did
Yeah,
he do?
it's
What were the circumstances?
okay. Well, he and another author named Laurie King were working on a Sherlock Holmes anthology. And one of the stories referred to a fact from the Sherlock Holmes casebook, okay, which was then not in the public domain. And one of the things that the estate of Conan Doyle, and let's to be clear, Conan Doyle has no direct descendants. I think his son died in like 78. So it's all grandnieces and nephews and neighbors next door
Hangers on, yeah.
and small house pets, it's
Some of whom who have never read the book and the
Mhm.
stories, probably,
Yeah.
except to look them over for similarities.
but
Yeah.
they would have a because most people assumed by that time, and this is like 2013, that most of Holmes was in the public domain. They would come in and say, "Oh, okay, well, you're doing a Sherlock Holmes story. Um, you need to license it from us."
So if they thought if there's anything in the case book,
Not even in the case book. It's like if you do a Sherlock Holmes thing.
Anything with his name attached to it.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, Sherlock Holmes in the case book.
Yeah.
Well, here's the rub. Klinger argued, "Hey, Sherlock Holmes is in the public domain." The estate said, "No, here's the stuff that's in the case book, and also if you go ahead and publish, we will call Amazon and booksellers and make sure you can't sell a book
Oh my God.
because they wouldn't spring for the exorbitant. It was like a couple of $1,000s just to be able to use Sherlock Holmes, a character who's in, and so Les Klinger filed it in Chicago court. And I heard this story a couple of weeks ago when I saw Nick Meyer and Stephen Lee at the Rookery, because Nicholas Meyer, 7% solution, but he files it in Chicago court, and he asked not only for declare, he asked for what's called what is it, a summary judgment? If there's a lawyer out there, you can correct me. But he didn't want just the court to just say, "Hey, Sherlock Holmes is public domain for this collection." He wanted to say Sherlock Holmes is public domain for everybody.
Retroactively.
Right.
Yeah.
And it actually went to the US Supreme Court, who basically said, "Yeah, Sherlock Holmes is public domain."
So how long has oh, sorry to interrupt you, but how long has Sherlock Holmes been around?
Since the late 1880s.
Yes.
So I think that would make it a public domain because isn't like anything before
Well, I
like the
mean, yeah, I mean, there was some idea of renewal of certain stories, I
Right.
think, at one
Well,
point, but
at this point, there was one book called The Case Book of Sherlock Holmes that was published in I think 25 or 26. It was
Wow.
basically a money grab
Yeah.
because Holmes is into this spiritualism, fairies, seances kind of stuff. And so for the longest time, the estate would use that as proof of copyright. And that's why it was such a weird situation because it's like all but one book was public domain. Now, as of last year, the entire canon is public domain, so you can use whatever you want.
I heard there was a difference between English copyright law and American copyright law. Well, was that a thing, or was that just a data fragment that I got wrong?
It used to be the same thing. The only difference now is in England, it's life plus 75 years. In America, okay. Warning to everyone, I am not a copyright attorney. So,
Yeah.
but essentially, it is life of author plus 95 years.
Okay.
And if it is a corporate work, it's 120 years with automatic renewal.
Okay, yeah.
But Mickey Mouse.
Well,
Yeah, that's
that was a bit different. What happened was Steamboat Willie went into the public domain. And what ended up happening was Disney had to figure out, because there was someone who like recorded, I guess, like new dialogue or new music for Steamboat Willie, and Disney had that pulled from YouTube like
Okay.
within a day. And I think
That's
the way they worked it out is that it's kind of like the Star Trek fan film thing, which is, um, if you ever want to look those up, people, if you want a headache and like a real powerful migraine, read the Star Trek fan film. But with Mickey Mouse, you can use the character. I think you have to put a disclaimer that this is not a Disney production. And I think there's a couple of other little minor things because when Steamboat Willie got entered the public domain, there are at least two really bad um, knockoff horror movies because of it.
I think
And
there's
it's
a
like,
few. I think there's Mousetrap and there's Screamboat Willie. I think there's another one, but I forgot what it is.
Steamboat Willie. That would be really bad.
well, I'd rather Screamboat Willie over Popeye the Slayer Man.
Yeah, well, you get what you get.
Wasn't there supposed to be some sort of rock Popeye movie? Was I hallucinating, or was that a thing? With the Rock as Popeye.
God.
That might have
Maybe
existed.
it's
I'm not
reading
sure.
it.
I know there was
Done a
one with
short film
Rob
or
Williams.
something at some point.
I know there's one with Rob Williams. So I'm sure that's not what you're talking about. Knowing The Rock, he might have done something.
I'm waiting for Seahag in the movie.
Yeah, because The Rock, I'm sure you know, he did the Tooth Fairy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
but
you know
he's,
there's okay.
yeah,
On
but
Star Trek Voyage.
the Rock has recently gotten off the gas. I mean, I don't think I want to pop out the
The
same
gas.
off of steroids. Anyway,
Oh,
Okay, so Dwayne Johnson is not officially cast as Popeye, but he's featured in a fan-made AI-generated concept trailer or several trailers for a hypothetical 2026 live-action Popeye movie. So you can find the trailers on YouTube. Yeah. So you were not crazy. There is an AI version of The Rock doing Popeye.
he's
Some
no
of these
Robin
AI
Hood.
videos, some of these AI videos are crazy. Do you guys all know who Chris Benoit was?
Who?
Chris Benoit, he was a wrestler.
yeah,
No, I've heard the name, but I don't really know of him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, there was an AI video of him going to AEW. But here's the thing: this is how you know it's actually for sure AI. It looked real too, but he died in 2007. And content warning for anyone listening: since you guys don't know who he was, he had brain damage, so he ended up killing his wife, son, and then himself.
Oh, you like Chris Benoit?
Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah,
That's who you're talking about, Chris Benoit. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. Yes,
Inventor of the ball.
I do know of him because the last time I was watching a lot of wrestling was during the Attitude Era, about 27 years ago or so,
Mm-hmm.
26 years ago, because I did some papers relating it to theatrical entertainments in ancient Rome.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's an ad video of him supposedly returning going to AEW. It's like obviously he died before AEW even existed, you know. But it looked real. I swear, it looks real. I was like, holy shit! Like I was surprised. Like, hey, I got that good already.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember a few years ago, they didn't even know how many fingers people had.
Well, it's true. Even today, a lot of AI art that's based on photography and things like that, where they mess around with it. There's a couple of people in particular on Facebook that do a lot of it, which I'm not really fond of. Most of it sucks.
I kept that with the work I did today. I kept that in mind.
Well, your work is fine. Your work is great. I thought, it's, for one thing, it doesn't look dead in the eyes. You didn't scrape off all the character lines on everybody's face. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, that person also occasionally will have somebody with 6 fingers or with 3 fingers because their assumed artwork is actually mostly AI generated.
I like those bizarre grotesqueries. That's kind of like a Where's Waldo.
But their value lies in recognizing that's what they are, bizarre grotesqueries.
Yeah, there's really terrifying stuff that if you let the computer go,
And
Ooh,
sometimes,
it's really scary.
and really often at times, you look at the guy's artwork, it does not look like the character or the actors that play.
One particular person that I'm thinking of oftentimes crafts men's faces to look similar to his own.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
It's like
it's subtle,
it's
but
like
it's not so subtle that you can't notice it when he does.
It's like Liberace and Scott Thorson.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, and don't get
The
me
Scott
started about
Thorson effect.
Ian Levine and Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Well, but I can't get you started on it, so I'll just have to research
Okay.
it on
Well,
my own.
there's a gentleman called Ian Levine, and he is a very controversial figure in Doctor Who. He's basically known for being, um, I would say he was Patrick McCray before there was Patrick McCray, but that would be, I think, a slam on your character, Patrick, because he's obnoxious, very opinionated, but he's decided that he's going to, because the BBC is doing these animated reconstructions with like 2D. He's like, oh no, I'm going to use AI and animate the telesnaps for classic series and for classic series episodes that are missing. And he's also doing it for like Big Finish audios, which are still not his copyright. And if you ever want to, if you need nightmare fuel, like if you absolutely need nightmare fuel, on YouTube, go Ian Levine, Doctor Who AI. It's a lot of it is just like you don't even know what he's doing. If you just watch some of the videos that are like featuring his work and criticizing him, it's bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now, he did this with Tootie. You mean like Kim Fields from The Facts of Life?
no two-dimensional animation,
Oh,
Patrick.
okay. I was hoping.
That would be
I was getting
nightmare
excited
fuel.
there.
Probably AI.
Great. I just, whatever. Tootie. If you later.
I'll give this movie a 10. I didn't get to talk much about it, but it is a really good movie. I love a lot of the plot twists that come into it. They're really good twists and turns.
Joel, when you say that, it's like being in a nightclub or something, and they're turning on the fluorescent lights, and they've turned off the music, and it's you're packing up to go home.
Yeah. The bartender's saying, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah. The fact that the colonel was a traitor was a plot twist. So
that's a nice turn. And his reasoning was quite, appropriate for the end of the empire, so to speak. Yeah.
Then there's that fake funeral scene, which is my favorite scene.
Very good scene.
Yeah.
Everybody's in disguise.
Yeah. Everybody's wearing beards, hats.
Yeah. What do you guys give this movie? Still,
it was good. It was very successful. I give it a 10. I liked it.
Yep. It's good.
I'll give it a 10.
It's got all the juicy highlights and lowlights of the original. All sorts of cool references and things that are happening in it.
And it's got John Hillerman, who's great.
It's got the Texas Briton. Yeah.
Higgins.
He was great. I mean, he made hay with Magnum PI. I mean, after that, everybody wanted to cast him as a British guy.
The only thing I think they got accurate in the new Magnum PI is that I think Magnum and Higgins became romantically involved.
Yeah.
I think that's the only part from the original series that they kept.
That's right. And the dogs watched everything.
Is there anything you guys want to add about the movie before we go?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Nice little romp. I liked it.
I'm glad we found it. Thank you.
Link to Gordon Howski's Amazon page and website will be in the description box. Link to Alan Glenn's YouTube channel. Colin's Porch After Dark will be in the description box. Link to Patrick McCray's Dark Shadows Daybook and Val will be in the description box. A link to Daniel Culver's YouTube channel. Magic Dove will be in the description box. You guys have a safe night.
Yep, you too.
Good night.